The Honourable Wilson Tucker.
Thank you, Deputy President. I didn't get a chance to put my thoughts on the record regarding the motion that was brought on this morning. It was obviously a very popular one, I think maybe for the wrong reasons. But be that as it may, I would like to do that now as part of a member statement. And originally I did wrestle with the idea of weighing into the debate on someone's gender identity, because it is a very complex issue. And it's something that I haven't had to wrestle with myself. I don't have any first-hand experience. And so I didn't really feel qualified to try and unpack this very complex topic. But I think as a Member of Parliament, we don't have that luxury too often. And I think we're signed up for this role, so we have to sort of get into the trenches occasionally. So I thought I would. And as I do in most, quite a lot of topics really, all I can do is draw upon my life experience and really try and explain my rationale on the topic, and I'll attempt to do that when we talk about gender identity. So given the recent allegiances by the member who raised it, my take reading this motion was it was really an attack on this perceived woke agenda of gender fluidity, and really trying to go back to more traditional and potentially outdated views of gender identity. And a recent lesson where I became aware that my words and actions related to somebody's nationality or their sexual orientation or how they view themselves could have a negative effect on others. And where I guess I really sort of sat down and took it to heart was in a recent example where I did move to this very, you could say, a left-leaning or woke or progressive city. And I was working in the tech sector at the time, and I would come into a meeting and I would address everyone as guys. So I would come in and say, "Hi guys, how you going, guys?" And I was quite quickly pulled up using that terminology because it isn't gender neutral. And about the same time, within the team that I was working in, there was a push to sort of modernise or I guess make our code base a little bit more PC. There were some certain legacy terms and phrases that we would use that could potentially cause offence to others. An example would be whitelist, blacklist. Whitelist is good, blacklist is bad, master slave. And it extended beyond the definitions of this code base, but also the lexicon around the room, around the office as well. Tribal knowledge was another one that came up. Obviously, there's connotations in America when we talk about the Indians. And so we changed that to institutional knowledge. And thank you for the correction, Honourable Member. And at the time, I did find myself kind of rallying against this feedback. And my sort of knee-jerk reaction was, well, you know, I don't necessarily understand the connotations of these terms. I meant nothing by them. And I didn't mean to cause offence. And these are words and phrases and terms that I've been using for many, many years. And so, you know, why should I change? Why should I change? And then I did a little bit more thinking about this. And I really came to the realisation that for me, it was a very simple change. To change this terminology that I was using and to change my language. But the impact for others, in terms of how they feel, can mean a lot for these marginalised words, which could resonate with them. And so for me, it was a very little change, but for others, it can have a very big impact. And with a little bit more soul-searching, I did come to the realisation that I fundamentally don't want to marginalise people. I want to bring people along for the ride. I want to make people feel comfortable and included. And so I decided to make that conscious decision of accepting what people were telling me about these words and how they potentially make them feel, and decided to change my actions and my vocabulary as a result. And I think as a society, we should be questioning these social norms in terms of how we engage with other members of society, how our actions and words make other people feel. And obviously the society is a very evolving and complex beast, and it does happen over time, but I think it's important to take these milestones or these steps and be conscious of a point in time around our language and our words and our actions, and trying to become a more inclusive place as opposed to a more marginalised place. And I believe this lesson of not wanting to become, to marginalise people also extends to the topic of gender identity as well. Now, I do acknowledge that I am in a privileged position as a white male, and certainly in a privileged position as a Member of Parliament, standing before you all tonight. And when we talk about equality, we did touch on this debate quite recently during the Voice referendum, and I do believe it was the Honourable Sandra Carr who did put this quite eloquently, and I'm not going to do it justice, but when we talk about equality, society is unequal, so we occasionally have to give people a leg up and make some concessions in that direction to try and get to a level playing field, a level platform. I think that's also what we have to do when we talk about the LGBTQI community as well. They have been marginalised for decades, and so I think we as privileged people, we should be making concessions in that direction to try and become a more equitable society, certainly here in WA. So I will say, so really, fundamentally, with this motion, I came to the realisation that, and previously, I mean, being someone in this privileged position, who am I to tell people that they, in terms of how they should be feeling, and really tell them that how they're feeling is wrong, considering I am in this privileged position that I haven't been through those, through that, I guess, experience of having to wrestle with gender identity. And really, at the end of the day, with this previous example and with the topic of gender identity, it doesn't affect me very much to recognise that people do feel differently about their sexual orientation, and it can potentially change over time. It doesn't take much to have a little bit of empathy in that direction, but it can have a very big impact for the people that are going through that experience. So on a personal level, I am very happy to recognise that some people feel they may change their sexual orientation over time. Really with this, I guess you could say, this quite lofty aspirational goal of trying to be, build a more equitable and inclusive place. And I feel that the motion that was raised today is one that is trying to marginalise and tear us further apart. And it is for that reason that I can't support that motion.